What drives a person to weave a lie so vivid it could unravel someone's life? In the small, sun-dappled town of Willow Creek, where gossip bloomed faster than the wildflowers, Karen Hensley was a name that sparked whispers. She was a woman of sharp edges, her voice a blade that cut through the quiet hum of daily life. At 42, Karen had built a reputation not for kindness or grace, but for her relentless need to be right, to be seen, to be heard. Her latest target was a modest tailor shop on Main Street, owned by a man named Elias Tran, whose gentle hands and quiet demeanor had mended countless garments and hearts alike. But Karen's accusation against him would ignite a fire neither could escape. It began on a crisp October morning, the air thick with the scent of fallen leaves. Karen stormed into the town's only coffee shop, the Brood Awakening, her face flushed with indignation. Her dress a gaudy, emerald green number that clung awkwardly to her frame swished as she marched to the counter. "That tailor, Elias, ruined my dress," she declared, loud enough for every patron to hear. Heads turned, cups paused mid-sip. "I paid good money for a custom fit, and look at this, it's a disaster. He's incompetent." The barista, a young woman named Lila, raised an eyebrow but said nothing, pouring Karen's usual latte with practiced calm. The accusation spread like wildfire. By noon, whispers of Elias's supposed failure had reached every corner of Willow Creek. Karen's story was vivid. She'd visited Elias's shop, given him precise measurements, and paid up front for a dress meant for her cousin's wedding. But when she tried it on, it was a mockery of craftsmanship. Too tight in the waist, too loose in the shoulders. She demanded a refund, she said, but Elias had refused, dismissing her with a wave of his hand. Elias, however, was bewildered. At 60, he was a man of few words. His life poured into the delicate art of tailoring. His shop, Threads of Time, was a haven of spools and scissors, where every stitch told a story. When a neighbor mentioned Karen's outburst, Elias frowned, his brow creasing like the fabric he worked with. "Karen Hensley?" he murmured. "She's never set foot in my shop." His apprentice, a wiry teenager named Jamal, nodded in agreement. "I'd remember her," Jamal said. "She's not exactly subtle." But Karen's story grew legs. She took to the town's online forum, posting a scathing review of Elias's work, complete with a photo of the ill-fitting dress. "Do not trust Elias Tran with your clothes," she wrote. "He's a fraud who doesn't know a needle from a nail." The post garnered dozens of comments, some sympathetic, others skeptical. A few defended Elias, pointing out his decades of flawless work, but Karen's fury drowned them out. She doubled down, claiming Elias had insulted her, called her impossible to please. The lie was bold, brazen, and utterly convincing. Elias felt the weight of her words. Customers dwindled. A bride canceled her appointment for a wedding gown, citing Karen's review. The shop, once alive with the hum of a sewing machine, grew quiet. Elias's hands, usually steady, trembled as he folded a bolt of fabric. "Why would she do this?" he asked Jamal one evening, his voice barely above a whisper. Jamal, fierce in his loyalty, clenched his fists. "She's lying, Mr. Tran. We'll prove it." Enter Marissa Cole, a retired librarian with a penchant for puzzles and a memory sharper than a tailor's shears. Marissa had been in the coffee shop that morning, unnoticed in her usual corner booth, sipping chamomile tea. Something about Karen's story didn't sit right. The dress, Marissa noted, wasn't handmade, bore the unmistakable tag of a department store chain. Curious, she began to dig. Marissa wasn't a gossip, but she was relentless when truth was at stake. She visited Elias, who showed her his ledger. No record of Karen Hensley, no payment, no appointment. Marissa's eyes gleamed. "This isn't just a misunderstanding," she said. "This is personal." Marissa's quiet investigation uncovered a thread that changed everything. Karen's cousin, the bride-to-be, was a woman named Vanessa, who had once been engaged to Elias's son, Daniel. The engagement had ended bitterly, with Karen siding fiercely with Vanessa, blaming Daniel for the breakup. But Daniel had moved away years ago, leaving Elias to bear the weight of old grudges. Marissa suspected Karen's accusation was no accident, it was revenge. A way to hurt Elias for sins he hadn't committed. The twist stung. Karen's lie wasn't about a dress. It was about settling a score. Armed with this, Marissa confronted Karen at the town's autumn festival, where Karen was holding court near a hayride, her dress now swapped for a loud floral blazer. "Why lie about Elias?" Marissa asked, her voice calm but piercing. The crowd hushed. Karen's face paled, but she scoffed. "I don't know what you're talking about. That man ruined my dress." Marissa held up a photo of the dress's tag, blown up on her phone. "This is from Macy's, Karen. Elias doesn't sell ready-made clothes." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Karen stammered, her confidence crumbling like dry leaves. The truth unraveled quickly. Karen admitted she'd bought the dress off a clearance rack, hoping to impress at the wedding. When it didn't fit, she panicked, too embarrassed to admit her mistake. Blaming Elias was easier, his quiet nature made him an easy target. But the lie had spiraled, fueled by her old resentment toward his family. She hadn't expected the town to turn on him so fiercely, nor had she anticipated Marissa's quiet tenacity. Elias, though vindicated, felt no triumph. The damage was done. His shop's reputation was bruised, and the trust he'd built over decades felt fragile. He sat in his shop one evening, the lights low, stitching a child's coat with care. Jamal watched him, his young face etched with worry. "You're too good for this town, Mr. Tran," he said. Elias smiled faintly. "No, Jamal. This town is my home. Even the thorns." Karen faced no formal punishment, but Willow Creek's judgment was swift. Her invitations to book clubs and bake sales dried up. She was no longer the loudest voice in the room now. She was the one whispered about. Yet the true sting lay in Elias's silence. He never confronted her, never demanded an apology. His forgiveness, unspoken but evident in his steady work, was a mirror Karen couldn't bear to face. Months later, a package arrived at Elias's shop. Inside was a handwritten note from Karen. "I'm sorry. I was wrong." No signature, but he knew. He folded the note and tucked it away, saying nothing. The dress, he later learned, had been donated to a charity shop, where it found a new owner who wore it with joy. Life moved on, as it does, but the scars of lies lingered, quiet but deep. In the end, Willow Creek returned to its rhythm, the wildflowers blooming anew. Elias stitched, Jamal learned, and Marissa sipped her tea, ever watchful. But the story of Karen's lie became a cautionary tale, a reminder that truth, like a well-tailored garment, holds its shape under strain. Karen, meanwhile, lived with the weight of her own machina, heart heavy with regret, in a town that no longer listened. ND